time to open stuff. So what are we waiting for? Let's get on with it. This is a thing from China. Actually, it's two things, but it's kind of one thing. Yeah. We've got to figure out how to get into it. Right. This is an LED ring lamp. This is a long black thing. It's a lens. I'm sure you're guessing what this is now. This is the main box. Plug, correct plug even. Here it is. Tiny thing. This sits on the lens, which I'm sure you're going to figure this out. This is like Christmas. So now we have to figure out how it goes together. And that, in theory, is going to work. We shall see. Let's figure out what these other bits are. Okay, now this is a 7-inch monitor that I happen to have, so I've just hooked it up. And we might as well have a quick look around the camera assembly, which is this blue bit at the top. It's got some buttons on the top that do various things. 3 lines, I don't know what that is, up, down, which is also in and out, OK and AE, and there's a sort of snowflake, and then mode, that's the down, and this is, I guess, camera versus movie play, I think. There was no manual that came with this, so it is all entirely sort of guesswork. And there's a remote control, and the remote control is powered by, strangely enough, because I guess it's so thin, a CR2032, and that has on-off, mode, menu, take a photograph, take a movie, and I'm not sure what that is, and these are sort of navigational things. So let's take a quick look at the back. And the easiest way to do that is to swing it round to point at the camera. Let's unplug these. So we have full-size HDMI. That's for video output. It goes to the monitor. Type-C USB, which is for video power in. And we have a micro SD card slot. That is so that we have something to record our videos onto. Now in theory I suppose we could plug this into a video capture device, but I don't have one set up right now, and so that's not going to happen. I'm going to record onto a micro SD. Now I need to grab a micro SD. Here we go. It is box standard 32 megabytes. Plug it in the normal way. USB-C, that is for power, that is for video. And I need to figure a permanent setup for this. I'm thinking maybe I shall mount this onto the crossbar. But for now it will sit there. Turn on the power. Now you can see that there's a light come on. It's a sort of bluey purple. And when we press the power, it turns blue. There we go. Okay. And that is actually a picture of whatever is currently under the microscope. We just can't see what it is because it's blurry. So let's take our project from the previous video, stick it under here, there we go. One extra thing we've got here is a ring light, and there is an on-off switch at the back here. This again is USB powered. Actually it's not, it's a 12 volt barrel jack. But it's got an on-off switch on the side here. And then on the other side we've got a brightness knob. So we can turn it right down or right up. And of course the lower we have the microscope, let's go right down to the end stop. We're going to need to focus it again. It's too low. Okay. There we go. That's right in on the legs of the chips. And you see we can focus on the top of the LED or go right down to the board itself, but it's so close that we can't actually focus on both at the same time. Now that's probably great for inspecting. We can move out near the edge of the board. You can see we can look at the bands on the resistors, or we can see individual solder joints. Let's look on the back for some actual solder joints. There we go. You can see an individual solder joint fills the entire screen. But that is going to be way too close for soldering, and so we're going to have to raise it up. Take it right up. Refocus it. So that's going to be much better for soldering. That's like an entire sort of 1.5 inches of the board, 5 centimeters pretty much close to. And if we want to zoom further out, we can, because this is a standard C mount lens, we can actually fit attachments to it. And we have these things called Barlow lenses. And I'll show you. A Barlow lens is basically, it just screws into the bottom, and this is in fact the wrong one. I ordered a 0.5 and a 0.75, which is the times 0.5 and times 0.75, which is the magnification, but they actually sent me, this is times 1 or 1 times, and that is basically clear glass. See, so they sent me essentially the wrong ones, and these are going to have to go back. They're not particularly expensive, they work out about 8 and 9 quid each. So that's the 1 times, and then this is the 2 times, which is a bigger chunkier lens. And being careful not to touch the glass, you can see 2 times. But you can see that's quite a chunky lens. So those are going to go back, and hopefully we're going to get some of the right size. But let's see if we can actually use this to do some soldering. Okay, so I went to another supplier that begins with an M and managed to find what I think is the right size. So let's take a look at these. Yeah, they look much more likely. So let's take one of these out. Immediately it goes flying across the room. So what I'm going to do is put some flux on there. Move that into position. Looks about right. Now I think that should have tacked it down. turn it around and just try and do the right end. I need more flux on there. I should use this sort of goopy flux rather than liquid, I think, because by the time we get to it, it's dried out. This is lead-free solder, which is unfortunate because it's horrible stuff. I think you'll probably agree with me that that looks absolutely horrible. And yeah, I think that is a solder bridge. All you experienced SMD solderers are probably laughing your heads off right now. It's on. For the pins, I'm going to use some of this stuff, and basically we are going to plug that in. So there we are, the pins are lined up. Okay, there it is, the first ever BlinkenBus. So we can hook it up, power it up, and see that it goes. With the breadboard already out, I thought the easiest thing to do would be to just wire it up on the breadboard. And so that's what I've done. I've got a simple AC power brick that is going to give us 5 volts. And that's plugged into a barrel connector into our board. Now the spec for these CMOS type chips says that we should not leave the inputs floating, and so we have tied everything to 0 volts. If you do leave it floating, then the output is going to be, I think they say indeterminate, which means kinda on and not very useful. So we've tied everything to ground. I'll show you that in a moment because we're going to have to change our input values. Power it up. Okay, and you don't see anything because everything is at 0 volts. So there we go. Now you might see an actual change in brightness as I move the thing across, but as soon as I unplug it from 0 volts, the light does come on. And finally, there we go. So that is all 8 LEDs lit bright blue. Other colours are available. So that's our microscope, and that is my first attempt at SMD design and soldering. That was not just a capacitor recap. I'm sure I shall get better. Thank you for watching. If you've got this far, please check out my Patreon if you are interested in supporting me in that way. There is occasional exclusive content as well as early access to all my videos, and many of them are ad-free as well, and no sponsorship messages, all that good stuff. So my current patrons are scrolling up the screen. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time. See ya. Bye. Time to open stuff. So what are we waiting? Oh, yeah.